The internet is full of dark and disturbing places, but few compared to 4chan, a site that allows users to upload completely anonymously and allows them to post whatever they want, no matter how creepy, twisted, or downright horrifying. Over the years, some of the most unsettling stories ever shared online have come from this chaotic corner of the web, from cryptic confessions to real-life nightmares. Today, we're diving into the most disturbing stories ever posted on 4chan. Buckle up, because this is about to get dark. This post was uploaded to 4chan on December 28, 2024 by an anonymous user. It read, "It was yesterday. I was sitting in the kitchen of my house. It was 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, drinking tea and watching YouTube, and my door from the hallway leads directly to the kitchen, and through this door, sitting at the table, you can see what's going on in the hallway. I was distracted because my dog started behaving strangely. He never growled for nothing, but then he stood in front of this door and first looked for a long time. Then he started growling. And then he ran to another part of the room and curled up. I decided to check what was there and looked into the darkness. There I saw a silhouette of a man and I took a picture. And then I took a picture with the flash. And then it became scary. I attached the photo. Everything is visible there. So immediately after this photo with the flash, my dog ran up to this creature and started barking, and then whined and ran away. When I got closer, this creature disappeared. I do not know what it was, but now I always close the door from the hallway to the kitchen at night." Next is the disturbing case of the bee killer. The bee killer is infamous on 4chan for making posts about the multiple people that he has killed. Let's take a look at some of the posts he's made. The bee killer made their first post on August 21st, 2015, which read, "I have killed several women for pleasure. If you can guess a name, I will upload a picture. If you can guess a name of any of these women, I will upload their photo. No more than 10 names per post. Any more than that will be ignored. Some are Polaroids and others were taken with a disposable camera. I also have pictures of them before death when I was able to do so. If you can guess all of the names, I will show you where I dumped a body in 1999. The first one is free as her name is unlikely to be guessed." Next to the post he made about the several women he's killed, he attached an image. The bee killer returned back to 4chan on September 22nd, 2015. He made a post captioned, "Dying, dying," and in the post, there's a picture of a man which seems to have blood all over him, and to the left of it, it says, "I'm back," with the date 9/22/15 timestamped on the paper. After a few people were skeptical and wondering what was going on, he replied with more gruesome, explicit photos of the person that he seems to have killed. It is also important to note that these aren't photos used by the police as evidence because there are no markings on them that indicate so. Also, the images have been reverse image searched on Google and there are no results, showing that these images are most likely unique. Unfortunately, there has been no indication to find out who is the bee killer, and there's no evidence to bring him forward, and no one has yet to bring him forward. So the mystery of the bee killer remains unsolved. The next post that we have is called "The Hidden Temple in Montana," posted by an anonymous user on Sunday, November 20th, 2022. The post titled "The Hidden Temple in Montana" read, I am shocked I have never seen this mentioned on X or really at all online, but there are ruins in Montana that are really out of place. This area is/was guarded by the US military, claiming that the site is a missile site, but in reality, the locals all know what is there. I will green text my experience the one time we went hiking and didn't encounter any G-men. One summer during the second Bush administration, my parents sent me up to Yaak to spend some weeks with my grandparents and cousins. The first few days, it's rough going on my grandparents' farm, dealing with basically living off the grid. No Game Boy and no Xbox. My cousins were older and treated me fine, but the chores midsummer made me exhausted and stressed. One day my cousins asked me if I wanted to go four-wheeling with them and my grandpa. I agreed, and we head off in 2 trucks with the ATVs in the trailer headed northwest. I forget how long we traveled, but we eventually arrived to the trailhead. My 3 cousins and grandpa all had ATVs. I had to ride bitch with my cousin Simon. Grandpa told us assertively to stay on the trails as there were grizzlies in the area foraging, but they tend to stay away from the trails due to the noise. We set out, the 4 of us, with Grandpa at the lead. I remember how beautiful everything was heading down the trails. After a few hours, we stopped at a small lake and had lunch, laughing and joking. In the distance, we could see Garver Mountain. Grandpa told us about the secret military base hidden in the mountain. As a kid, I thought of games like Halo, full of super soldiers fighting aliens. Cousins were enamored by the idea. Grandpa warned them of the black helicopters and vans that arrested people getting too close. My cousins agreed to not head in that direction, but I knew they were lying. We packed up and set off to head back to the trucks, Grandpa again in the lead. About an hour into the drive, I realized my cousins aren't following Grandpa and heading towards the mountain. I yelled to Simon, asking him if this was a good idea, and he assured me that it would be great. Eventually, we hit a fence with some warning signs telling us to stay out. We traveled for about 20 more minutes through some slick forest until we reached a break in the fence. The break was big enough to ride through. I remember the screech of the fencing against the sides of the four-wheeler. We traveled down valley for a bit as a river ran near the mountain. Eventually, we see columns next to trees, old ones that kind of looked Egyptian. We stopped and got on foot looking around, realizing we passed a large ruined building. We start exploring the grounds. There were carvings of bird people everywhere. They were simple and looked like humans with bird heads and long legs. Other carvings included circles and triangles and odd patterns. My cousins were laughing about how awesome this all was, and they felt like Indiana Jones. We approached the main building, and it was massive but overgrown. There were old boxes everywhere with army stuff stamped all on the outside, and rusted generators and equipment in the center. I was nervous. I wanted to leave, but my cousins continued on into the main building. More bird people carvings everywhere, and a massive stone pillar in the center. At that point, we hear a helicopter echoing through the valley. My cousins joked that it's the men in the black and we should run. This freaked me out and I started crying as we ran back to the ATVs. We peeled out of the site and headed back towards the hole in the fence. My cousins were laughing while I was crying. Waiting for us at the hole were 2 big black SUVs, which I thought was odd considering how thick the forest was. Overhead, I could hear the helicopters. It sounded like more than one. The guys waiting had guns drawn and were wearing normal clothes, like the operator guy from memes. They arrested us and brought us to a ranger station where we stayed for a day in a small cabin attached to the building. My cousins were freaked out and asked for help, but every time they were told to shut up by the men outside the door. Eventually, my grandpa showed up and told us we were all going home. No one spoke to us as we left. The ATVs were gone and the other truck we drove was gone too. My grandpa said they took them and never to talk about this again. The entire drive home was quiet. We got to my grandparents and my grandma was crying and hugged us. They told us to never talk about this to anyone, and if anyone asked, we broke down in the woods and Grandpa rescued us. We never talked about it with each other or my grandparents, and certainly never to my parents. About a year later in school, I overheard someone talking to another kid about the hidden temple in the Kootenai forest. I asked him about it, and he recounted a story about his dad and grandpa found the same place while hunting one winter. The things described perfectly. Fearing the government guys, I told him to never talk about it. Even now, I'm a bit uneasy discussing this. I am not sure if anyone else has ever been up there. I tried using Google Earth and other providers to try and find it, but no luck. I am not sure if the trees cover everything up or if the government edits things like that out. Similarly, searching online pulls up nothing. I'll never forget the birdmen carvings and all the odd shapes carved into the weathered rock. This really emphasizes the importance of being aware of your surroundings and making sure that you know what's going on around you when you're in the wilderness, because there are so many things that could be happening around you, which could be very disturbing. On April 4th, 2023, anonymous user made a post which read, "Alright, time for the weirdest story. Be 11 to 12 years old. Trip to a big water park for the summer because there was no camp this year. Trip was great. Going back home after 3 days of fun. Not sad because I'm satisfied with the trip. And then suddenly a feeling comes over me. Dad, I need to take a bathroom break. Pull up on a nearby gas station. Think I need to go to the bathroom and refuel and just come back quick. Go into the bathroom. Go into the stall on the left. Going to the bathroom and minding my own business when I hear an ungodly scream. Something like a mix between a deer and a bear. I was so scared, I no longer need to go to the bathroom, but I don't want to leave the stall. I hear weird voices, spoken in some weird language. I see blood flowing on the floor from the middle stall. My stall door shakes violently. I scream like a little girl. I'm begging for mercy. Everything stops. Blood is gone. Bathroom's empty. No clue what happened. I want to get out. The door to the outside won't even open, even though it lacks a lock. What do I do now? I scream for help. My dad hears me. He calms down. He turns around. The middle stall is open and I see this massive shadow monster. I vividly remember that it was dark with large horns and eyes that reflected like animal eyes on photos. I scream louder than ever in my life as it slowly approaches me. Right then, it's like when 3 Myers from me and some biker with a crowbar who my dad recruited opens the door. They look and see nothing in there, and they think that I'm crazy. Dad was mad at me for a couple months because he had to pay for the door. This goes to show that there can be paranormal activity happening anywhere, and even the places that you would think would be most safe can get you when you're most vulnerable. That was all of the most disturbing 4chan stories across the web. If you enjoy videos like these and you have any stories that you would like to share yourself, please email me via the email address in the comments below. And if you like these videos, please like and subscribe.